Right on the first try. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about progress. All right, let's get into the mailbag. Let's just start right away. There's lots to do. Oh, there's not a ton, but that's where we're gonna start, and then I'm going to. If you want to stick around and just watch me, or I guess listen to me go on and on about Resident Evil, feel free. That's my. That'll be the caboose, though. I don't want to start with that. Everyone will be like, I don't know what this game is, or I know what this game is and I don't like it because the controls are garbage, and it's dumb, and the voice acting stinks. And I think I think my Alexa just beep borped, but I don't know why. Okay, anyway, mailbag. Let's get right to it. You mentioned in last Quarantalk that 168 and 268 were going to start teaching Python. Does that apply to 268 students who just took 168 with C++, or will 268 still be in C++ next semester? Both are switching. And this isn't the first time we've done this. We've switched from C++ to Java, and Java back to C++, and basically there's... So the next two... So the fall of 20 and the spring of 2021, which sounds very far away, but both of those semesters will be transition. So basically 168 won't change because 168 you're presumed to, that's the intro, you don't have to be taught anything, you're not sliding into anything new from another language. You just learn that from the ground up. But in 268 we'll basically take the time to sort of like say you learn C++, which in actuality it's going to be way easier to go from C++ to Python than the other way around. Because C++, I would say, has a superset of topics that if you understood C++, you're basically going to be like, oh, I only actually have to remember like 20% of it. Okay, great. Yeah. So it will be very, very painless. Next. After failing this class for the first time and retaking it again this semester, I still feel like I'm light years behind my classmates. I'm usually a very quick learner and have been a straight A student my entire life, and I'm getting kind of concerned that I will never be able to learn this stuff. I enjoy it, however, I'm very bad at it. Do you think that this is a bad sign considering this is the intro? I'm very nervous about taking 268. I don't know of anyone that isn't nervous taking 268. That class has become notorious. I really want to be a good programmer. For some reason, it just isn't clicking. So I guess I won't say the name of the student, but there was a student who took 168, did fine, took 268, and flunked it. And kind of had a similar this wasn't really what I expected. I expected to do better, basically. It the idea of failing a class seems like is completely contrary to the idea of it being what you, it's like, well, if I loved it, I should just be good at it. I don't think that's true. Like if this is what interests you and you had if you took it and you failed it and you're like, I'll do it again, that's a good sign that you're actually, you care about the topic. And not to bulldog you into staying computer science now and forever, amen. That's not, my goal here is not to make anyone do it that doesn't like it. But I can tell you with confidence that I've had students perform poorly and just throw enough tries at it where it finally does click. And then it's like, oh, okay. It just, for some students, if there's like a bell curve of how long it takes for it to click for students. Some, have the what feels like that born to do this, clicks right away. But it's a very small percentage. And then most people, it's usually like nothing, like they passed. Like I have a lot of students that got an A in 168, but like I would argue that it hasn't clicked for them either. They just like I got A's in calcs 1 through 3. I don't think it ever really clicked. Like I just kind of figured out how to pass the class. I just learned the rules to play the game, and like I would never in a million years feel comfortable teaching a calc class. Calc 2, definitely not. Calc 3, no way. Because I was able to, exert the effort and the time, and I just studied and studied and studied and practiced and practiced and practiced, where I kind of like just had, just the almost muscle memory levels of like being able to like have a derivative or integral thrown in front of me and be like, all right, you do this and then this and then this rule and then this rule, and here's the answer. And what did I actually explain with math? I don't know. I don't really know. I couldn't explain why I did what I did to anyone. I just knew what the steps were. And I think a lot of students sit in that boat. And I think it's normal for it not to click. Even, for some students, it doesn't click in 268. They really struggle. 268 does kind of test and examine you for that. How well is it clicking? Because there's lots of, lots of conceptual stuff in there. There's plenty of syntax, but there, in terms of the amount of new keywords that you have to know, there's not a whole lot more. You've probably learned like 80% of the actual syntax and symbols and words that you need to know to do everything for 268. But now it's just a matter of the conceptual side. So, it requires a gut check. Like, I can't tell you if you love something or not, but I can tell you for certain that not doing well is not a sign that you're not meant to do it. And I would also say that doing well is not a sign that you're meant to do this either. I am living proof that you can get an A in a class and not actually be good at the material. And like like Einstein said, was it like if you can't explain it to like a 5-year-old or 4-year-old, you actually don't know what you're talking about. Like, you don't really know it. I never got there with calc. I never got there. So, hang on. I gotta read this. Okay, so I'm gonna let you read this because I felt unqualified to answer this one. Advice for being a female in computer science. I didn't want to even take a stab at this. So, I went to a much smarter source. I went to 2 past students. One just graduated, one is at Microsoft. And I basically took this question and I said, hey, do you have any advice for this student? I don't feel terribly qualified to answer it. Can you answer it? And so here is what comes in from one student, one past student. Again, so I guess, how old would she be now? She graduated like 5 years ago, something like that. So this is from Bridget from Microsoft. And if you are the student and you actually want to talk to these people, I'd be happy to let them know that you would like a dialogue. And I know Bridget especially, she's, she loves this kind of stuff. So anyway, so from Bridget, these are her words. First of all, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone but you. Do your best, and that's the most anyone can expect from you. I was intimidated as well, mostly because it seemed the men knew they wanted to be in CS since they were 5 years old, and I hadn't written a single line of code until my first lab assignment. Don't let them fool you. The learning curve is the same regardless. They might have a small head start with the early concepts, but the playing field is leveled very quickly. Even so, it's not about them. Through this journey, you will discover what part of CS you are best at or enjoy most, and the opinions are not limited to software developer. Find the option that's right for you. Secondly, it is brave to admit when you don't know something and ask questions. That's how you learn, and that's what you're here to do. Too many people, men included, like to pretend they know what people are talking about to save face. You'll be better off asking the question and might even to help others who felt the same way. I can't count the number of times I've received thanks for asking a question someone else was afraid to ask or hadn't even thought to ask. In all things, find a place to be yourself. You deserve that respect. So that is from Bridget, past student. It's from another past student, Anushka, who just graduated this. Oh my goodness, yeah, like I guess like a couple of weeks ago. And it's actually an EE who just took a bunch of comp sci classes because she found them fun, oddly enough. One of the only people in the world that's ever called 268 fun. I hope you're doing. Hang on, skip to the part that's the answer to the question. She agreed with what Bridget said. The only thing she would like to add is that the person going through it is not the only one. It would be great if she could find a group of friends around whom she felt comfortable talking and sharing her feelings. I know WIC does a great job at bringing all women in ECS together and giving them a platform to share how they're feeling. Joining WIC made me realize that I am not the only one facing these problems, and I felt like I belong somewhere. I hope this helps. That's from her. So yeah, I hope that did help too. Yeah, I hope that did help. And if you want any more details about WIC or just want to have an actual direct conversation with the woman in computing, I'd be happy to put you in touch with them. What? Oof. What is your elemental affinity and why? Earth, water, fire, wind, etc. Feel free to mention anything not previously mentioned. If we're going Pokemon types, my first was Bulbasaur, which was a grass poison, which actually really stunk. Because poison was weak to psychic, and that was a big pain in the butt in red and blue, because there are tons of psychic types, and they were all really powerful. I kind of wish... And that was the only mix. Bulbasaur was plant poison. And it's like, okay, you get Squirtle's water, and then Charmander's fire. I know it becomes fire flying, but like, you know, you'd think you just have the three pure types, like water, fire, grass. I don't know what the implications of elemental affinities. If I had to pick, like I'm thinking like a D&D elemental, which one would I want as like a summon? I think I'd want. It's either going to be water or wind. I feel like I could do some cool stuff with that. Push and pull things with wind, raise and lower things with water, put out fires, have a boat that I can just use anywhere. That'd be cool. Uh-oh, hang on. I'm clicking on my capturing software and not Notepad. There we go. Are you a Star Wars fan? If so, how do you feel about the decision to relegate 95% of the Star Wars canon into the non-canon legends when the new trilogy first started? I feel like there's a huge spectrum of Star Wars fandom. I liked I guess what would be called the trilogy that started in the 70s, right? Star Wars, Empire, Return of the Jedi. Like I watched those a ton just growing up as a kid. My older brother is I would say a fanatic. Like he, collected all the toys and kept them like mint in box, and just consumed all things Star Wars regardless of rationality or quality. And that's basically where my like for it ended. Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Siths were if you remember, I worked in a movie theater the summer that Attack of the Clones came out. Holy cow, I got sick of watching that Yoda fight pretty fast. And in terms of like recent films, they're fine. The Force Awakens was like, oh, that's nice. It was nice. The was it the Last Jedi? Yeah, that was the second one. The Last Jedi was confusing and kind of annoying at parts. It's I don't know. I had to like there was like just weird decisions in the plot. I was like, why'd they do that? And not necessarily plot holes, but just like why are they? I felt like there was like filler, but it's a movie. You shouldn't have any filler in the movie. Like why are they spending all this time in this casino? It's like weird side quests and stuff. And then the last one, also fine. Kind of like when I was talking about the Marvel movies, like almost none of them, other than the first three, like again, like Star Wars, Empire, Jedi. Do I ever want to go back and rewatch? But that's the same for like lots of films. As for the extended universe, you will have to consult my brother on that one. My deepest trek into like those old books. Like I watched my brother collect like the books back in the day because it was before the prequels came out. So this is like between like 83 and 1999. So in that time there was like books written, and there was lots of lore being built up, and like what happened to Luke and Leia and Han, and what like Han and Leia had twins, and I think Luke turned to the dark side for a while or something, and the Emperor actually turned out to be there's a bunch of clones of him, which I guess they kind of kept in the new movies. I don't know. It's they're kind of vague about that. But I didn't really get into much of it. I played Shadows of the Empire on the Nintendo 64. That was cool. That room with a Wampa. That was neat. Yeah. But I'm never afraid to just like I'm never like I don't think there's any sort of obligation to like keep that stuff and make it the movies, but at least from what I've gathered, there were probably better written stories that could have became films. Yeah. When quarantine is over, you should start recording lectures and uploading them. It was really useful to going back to that lecture, along with looking at notes. I'll consider it. Maybe. So this is a means to an end. I need to get this to you in a way that I know you can obtain it, regardless of time zones, etc., etc. But I do like teaching in person and seeing people in person. And basically, the more things that get posted online, the less incentive there is to come to class. So this is one I wrestle with still. What was a typical day like for you before quarantine? How many hours do you spend on campus? Do you do things like grading from home? Yeah, I mean, my schedule is basically at the whim of my children and has been since the first one was born in 2016. So, some days it's just like I'll spend the entire day on campus just because there's just stuff I have to get done, and I'm not going to come back until it's done. Other days I will like go and do office hours and teach and have any meetings. And then anything else I can do from home, I'll just come back home, do what sort of house stuff needs to be done, and then grab kids, and then a lot gets done after bedtime. So like it's very rare that I just have like a huge like 8 hour like consecutive hours in a row that things get done. It's more like, especially just before and after quarantine, it's more like like 2 hour chunk, and then something happens, and then 3 hour chunk, and then something happens, and then like another 2 hour chunk, and then something else happens. And you just find the time in the day to get it done. Okay, this one's a little embarrassing. Not really a question, but I saw you won the gold outstanding or a gold award for outstanding educator and wanted to say congrats. I looked through my email and I actually don't have any record of this happening. Now I do remember that there was there was an award. It was some kind of a teaching award, but I thought it was like a dean's thing. That I got. And it was like very close to the time that like my children my children were born. They all just came at once. During one of my kids was born, and so I couldn't attend, and I was just like kind of only vaguely aware of that. But like if you have even just Googling like KU name of the award, I can't find a record of me ever winning this. I'm flattered if I did. And whoever nominated me, bless you, because I am here but by the grace of those who, for whatever reason, value my work. But I don't actually know when I won this. And that's embarrassing. So I'm very grateful. But if there's more details, I'd love to know when it happened. Yeah. Will summer classes be taught through Blackboard or the wiki? I've never done a single thing on Blackboard in my life, and I never will. Because I'm a stubborn old fool. So the wiki, like normal. But we'll still do grade scope stuff. I like that a lot. What's the benefit of taking 169 over 168? Doesn't seem to provide anything other than honors classes provide. It just appears to be a harsher grading curve for what is mostly the same work. I've never really understood the purpose of honor anything. Even in high school when I was in like the honors society or whatever, like, great. I think if it's a different numbered course, it really should exist in a different form. It should just be a completely different class that is separate, like separate lecture, separate everything. 168 and 169 aren't. 140, 141 aren't. They just differ in workload and difficulty. So it's sort of a stamp that other people in this world may or may not recognize. And, you know, you may have to like do a lot of explaining, like, oh, you took 169. I thought it was 168. It's like, oh, that's the honors version. Like, oh, okay, cool. It was really hard. It's like actually much harder to get an A in that class, which is true. But in terms of how valued honors courses are, I honestly, I'm not a recruiter for a company, so I really don't know how closely that stuff gets looked at. Favorite alcoholic beverage? Non-alcoholic beverage. Well, no one in 168 except for a rare few are even old enough to drink. But when you get old enough to drink, do so responsibly. Always have a group of friends watching your back in case things go south. And I enjoy a whiskey club soda. I guess I would just call it a whiskey soda, but it's just a Old Crow is my brand because it's cheap and bountiful. And I like it just whiskey, maybe 2 fingers if it's been a long day. Ice, and yes, I put ice in my whiskey. My favorite, like, I guess I was watching some whiskey connoisseurs on YouTube one time, and their slogan was, the best whiskey is the brand you like, served the way you like. I was like, yeah, get your, they're connoisseurs, but they're not snobs about it. Good for them. So Old Crow, cubed ice, club soda, and yeah. I also like tea. Whiskey and tea, sake and tea, very good. But most days, like, whiskey doesn't lend itself to a lot of drinking occasions. So I guess if I'm just keeping one forever and ever, amen, it's probably just a good IPA. Non-alcoholic beverage. I mean, I don't know how I could not say coffee. Black coffee. Fantastic. Also tea. Just non-alcoholic tea. Plain. No sweeten. Just an iced tea. Very refreshing. And then probably whole milk. I like just a glass o' milk. All right, that's the docket. And somehow that still killed. Didn't feel like that many questions. That still killed almost a half hour. So, if you're taking summer classes, classes start tomorrow, Tuesday, June 2nd. If you're not taking summer classes, I hope you are staying safe and well and having a great time. And if you stay here, do so at your own risk, because I'm gonna geek out about Resident Evil. So let's switch over to this thing. Heyo! All right. So let's see how well I can actually orient this on the screen. Fan double-tastic. All right, so for the uninitiated, there is a series of games called Resident Evil in the States, Biohazard in Japan, where and it's been going on for like over 20 years now. I think let's actually see when the first one came out. So it came out on the PS1. And it came out, oh my goodness, 96. Wow, I was way off. Okay. So my history with this is incomplete, first of all. Okay. So this is, I guess I'm buzz marketing, but there's a website called Tier Maker where you can rate things, and people gotta put things in some kind of an order. So we're just gonna do that. So I'm gonna, I guess, rank them, or I'm more just gonna categorize them. But full disclosure, there are several I have not played because there are a boatload of these things. It's sort of become a brand that just gets slapped on a lot of different titles. So, long story short, the first Resident Evil came out on the PlayStation. It was a game about basically like a SWAT team, essentially, or a special tactics team that gets chased into a mansion by ravenous dogs after investigate. Well, they're in there investigating like weird murders and people being eaten. So it is graphic, and just FYI, if you're looking at any of these box art covers, this is a very graphic game, even for like the PS1. And so these cops go in there, and then, oddly enough, it wasn't just like, even though you're police officers, you don't just solve all of your problems with guns. Most of your problems you solve with guns. But there was puzzles, and one of my favorite like storytelling devices is arriving at a place after something has happened and having to piece together what happened. And in this game, there's tons of diary entries and notes and letters and just evidence of stuff happened, and you find victims who are still alive, and you talk to them, and you're just like trying to figure out like what went on here. And this mansion that you're in, like a lot of, I guess like Metroid is the one that usually gets referred to as like the style of like, you gotta get this item so that you can open this door and go into this area that gives you another item that lets you into another area. There's a lot of that. But I also like, what's the, oh my goodness, who wrote Murder on the Orient Express? Oh, I'm sorry, listener, you're yelling it and I can't hear you because I'm stuck in the past. Author of Murder on the Orient Express, Agatha Christie. Holy crap. Okay. Sorry, Christie. So, she wrote, murder mysteries. And there was like I guess a term that she coined, I think, called like these like cozy settings, where basically the whole story takes place in a very small place, like just like in this house. Resident Evil 2 takes place in this police station. Now, if you've played the games, you actually go to other places, but like I don't need to go across like the whole world. Like I don't need to go from like this side of the country to that side of the country and go from city to city to city. I like really contained stories. I like the idea of like there's just this house with this finite number of rooms and you get keys to go in these other places. That was fantastic. So, but in actuality, I played these games out of order. So the very first one I ever played was I just happened to rent it because I think I saw, so 2 came out in 99, right? Resident Evil 2 came out in 99, right? Right? No, not that one. The other one, the first, for the PlayStation, not the newer one. 98? Man, I have my years all sorts of wrong. Okay, so it came out in 98. I rented that back when you could rent games from establishments. What was it, a Family Video? Yeah, it was a Family Video. So I rented it, and because there was a commercial that was directed by George Romero, who, well, Google him, kids. He's sort of important to modern day zombies in cinema. Anyway, so I was like, I rented that, and I was like, holy cow, this thing is bonkers. Like, what like the this is, you know, I'm a cop. I go to the police station. Also, one of my favorite storytelling devices is to see the same events but from a different angle. And in that game, you could actually play through as one character, and then you play through as another character, but it's your events are happening in parallel, and you actually run into each other at different points. And so you get to fill in these blanks that way. So that was the first one I got, and I was just kind of hooked ever since. So, but before we start the ranking, let's just sort of clear the docket of ones I've never played. I can't even read that one. All right, so Game Boy one. Nope, never played that. Never played Chronicles. I own this one because I bought it from like a Humble Bundle, but still haven't played it. Don't even know what that one is. Don't know what that one is. Resident Evil something 2. Umbrella Corp. Nope. Outbreak. Nope. 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 And I'm immediately losing credibility as any kind of actual fan, but I don't know, I guess it's like Star Wars. Okay. And I feel like, are there some that are missing? Yeah, 3 remakes not on here. Oh well. So the creme de la creme. All right. So again, these aren't just to categorize these. I think these are just games that, you know, I can recommend to anyone willing to put up with a bunch of zombie guts and gore and stuff. So, Resident Evil 1 Remake for the GameCube, and now a bunch of platforms. You can get it on PC. You could probably get it on PlayStation too. But that blew me out of my socks because the first Resident Evil game looked like garbage. The voice acting was garbage. In like a B movie way that was like you kind of fell in love with it. Jill Sandwich, all the inside jokes. She was stuck in a room and this like boulder was gonna crush, or I guess like the ceiling was coming down to crush her, and then like an NPC busts her out of the room like, you're gonna be a Jill Sandwich. Like that doesn't even make sense. You squish sandwiches? And she's gonna get squished to the width of a sandwich? Like, anyway, it was adorable. But the remake was beautiful and cinematic and just, I don't know. That was great. Next, I would say, like, if you liked the remake, play these next. And that would be 2 remake, 3 remakes not on here. I'll just put 3 in its place and we'll play around with that, I guess. And then 7 would probably be the tail end of that. And then if you're now obsessed, I would say, okay, first things first, go back and play the classics. At least two, and then I put three after that one. Um, One, the director's cut, maybe, and that's basically the end of that. Um, if you're just killing time now, if you're like, I need my fix. If you're now just like, it's like, oh well, 3 just came out. I beat it. Nothing's come out for a while. I played all the others. What do I do next? 0 was fine. I kind of hated the missed opportunity in terms of what they could have done with the story of the actual. Because so, in Resident Evil 1, you go in as what you are Alpha Team, and Bravo Team went in before you, and you find some of the survivors of Bravo Team. And I think there could have been a much more interesting story to tell than just having one member of Bravo Team meet up with a completely new character that we never see again. This was kind of where it started. Like, I don't know, just there were some weird choices made, like Prisoner, giant, like what was the movie back then? Vin Diesel, like Triple X or whatever, like that style of tattoo. I don't know. It was used with the same engine as the remake. It was beautiful looking. Really creepy scenery, especially in the mansion. Hard as a mofo. If you want to know what the most difficult enemy in Resident Evil is, and like as in all the games I've played, the hardest enemy is the monkeys from Resident Evil 0. They are insanely difficult. After that, really a tier below. I'll say other people like these. I didn't, and this will probably come up in a Quarantalk. I might get hate mail. I did not like 4. I guess I liked Code Veronica. That's hard. Does it? I like it more than 4, but oh my god, I'm probably never ever gonna play Code Veronica again. Like, I played it one time the last 2 years, and like it would probably be like up here if it wasn't for Steve. There's one super annoying character that you just keep running into. You play as for like a room and a half. Like catastrophic events happen because this like idiot Steve is like infatuated with the female lead, and I hated that character a lot. Again, like, no reason to bring in a new character, especially one that's just going to be this of much of a buffoon and annoying. Yeah. Okay, so I'll leave it down there. No, I'm going to put it down there. I'd probably play 4 again before Code Veronica at this point, honestly. But I didn't really like 4. And then 5. Oh, actually, I guess 6. I have not played 6. I have owned 6, and I played it for about a half hour, and then I was like, I just jumped off of a jet fighter. I don't know what game I'm playing anymore. Where's like a plant that I'm gonna spray with some pesticide, or a spider I'm gonna cut its web with a knife. I don't need to be jumping off jets or anything right now. I never figured out what this game was. I haven't played it. 5, I regrettably have played. And I'll just say, history will be the judge. And it will have a cruel judgment for that game. Because that game made a lot of missteps and exposed a lot of sort of cultural insensitivities that can get pumped out in games. And I haven't played it since. It's been probably like, oh man, I don't know. When did this come out? When did Resident Evil 5 come out? 2000. 9. Yeah, so it's probably been over 10 years since I played that. Because me and my other friend, I guess no, just my friend, we're both fairly into Resident Evil, and that was the first co-op one. We're like, heck yeah! And then we got it, and we're like, oh no! And yeah, that's sort of where Resident Evil went off the rails. So it was like the original one, original 2, Resident Evil 3, the remake. All this was just fan double-tastic. For me, the next one I played was Code Veronica, and I was like, okay, this feels like a Resident Evil game again. Neat. Steve was super annoying. I actually forgot how annoying Steve was until I played it again the last like year or two. 4 I didn't like from the beginning. I guess why don't I like 4? 4 I don't like. Well, I guess so. It goes back to 1. As boring as it is, like I like my Resident Evil games boring as all get out. With one exception. Lock me inside of a mansion or building. To be honest, I actually would have been fine if all of Resident Evil 0 was on that train. Just get more, like, detach the back and put different cars or something. I would have been perfectly happy never leaving that train. But I was fine to go from a train to a house. But 4 was the first one. You're just running around. Like you just go from. I mean, there's like areas. Like it's not an open world or anything. But you go from place to place, and you're basically going across Spain, and it like you got drops from enemies, which is weird, as opposed to just like finding them, and like it doesn't make that much more sense to just like find a first aid kit inside of on a bookshelf. But it, to me, it didn't make a whole lot of sense where a man just attacked me with a pitchfork and he drops bullets. It's like, this person should have been using these bullets if their goal was to fight me. Where'd you get these bullets? So yeah, I don't know. It felt. 4 is where it started to feel very different than the things I liked. Like really small setting. Not really seeing a lot of intelligent things. I mean, intelligent creatures. Like like in Resident 1 and 2, like the things that used to be smart, like the police officers. Like now they're zombies. There's very few characters that you actually interact with, and almost all of them are corrupt, except for the ones that you have to help. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. And the controls are always kind of for me. The camera angle is like, get Leon. I don't need him to sit there and take up a third of the screen. Just make it first person or something. Like, I don't need to see him and then like stop and aim with my laser thing, and I don't know. Which I know it's like the over the back thing is what the remakes do anyway, but for whatever reason it just feels a lot cleaner in those. I am looking forward to the 4 remake. I feel like if what they've done with 2 and 3, I'll love. And and if you're wondering like why does 3 get to run around the city and not make you mad? I don't know, it's just super fun. It was just super fun to actually like. It was different in the standpoint of you're getting chased around the city, and that was like, for whatever reason I was fine with that. Like Nemesis is on my tail. I gotta find these things and do these weird puzzles to get to the next place. Otherwise, Nemesis is gonna get me. And the remake just made everything super fun. The dodging, all that was really well done. I liked it a lot. So, if you're still listening to this, you're probably mad at me now. Oh boy. No one's listening to this. No one made it this far. We're almost an hour into this. 45 minutes? Anyway. These games are not great, but I like them a lot. The controls were garbage in the very first game. I still don't know why. I guess no, I had the director's cut. I did not actually play the OG original Resident Evil that had true tank controls and no auto aiming, which in a game with a fixed camera is very difficult because you will move your character in like into a hallway. The camera does not change to show you what's in that hallway. And so you don't know what's in there, and then you just take your steps into the hallway and you get bit. Yay! So they fixed that and never changed it back, and that was smart because it was dumb to not have auto aiming in a game that you can't control the camera in. If you're still here and you want to hear something super embarrassing, I had Resident Evil toys. I had the toys. I had the Tyrant from 1 and the Liquor and I think that's all I had. My friend had a lot too. Yeah. All right. Embarrassing story over. Gushing about video games instead of answering emails also over. So I think I'm going to get out of here. Have a great day. If you're in my class, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.